Nike is making a huge change with the Jordan 4 Military Blue release, and this is good news for some, but very bad news for others. I'm not sure if this is the only release they're going to be doing this for, but I would definitely not be surprised if they end up doing this again on more highly coveted Jordan retros like the upcoming Jordan 3 Black Cement. Don't worry, we're going to go over this and much more, as today we are going to be discussing none other than the Jordan 4 Military Blue. Specifically, we're going to be discussing some release info, how to comp them, and as always, some resale predictions. The Jordan 4 Military Blue drops on May 4th, which is just around the corner, but they already had a shock drop which consisted of over 100,000 men's pairs, which are already in circulation now. But something very strange is occurring on Nike's stock endpoint. Initially, we saw that there was over 1.2 million pairs in total production, but as of recently, it's now adjusted to about 600,000 total pairs. Granted, that is still absolutely massive, but nonetheless, that's a pretty massive discrepancy. We're going to be talking about what Nike's doing with this and what it might mean for the future of Jordan retros, along with this Jordan 4 Military Blue and its value. For free notifications on shock drops just like the Military Blue and completely free release guides, definitely join the Discord for completely free with the link in the description below. And we also recently opened up some new channels that are outside of reselling to help you guys save and make money through other various ways, and that includes a method to get free Chick-fil-A meals. As always, for early information and many more resources that go far beyond reselling, like stock investing, sports betting, promotion exploits, Amazon FBA, and more, you can try Endurance on that same link below or by scanning the QR code. Anyway, retail for these is $215 for men's sizes, $160 for grade school, $100 for preschool, and $85 for toddler. As for resale value, we'll go over that towards the end of the video as always, and it might not be what you're expecting. Specifically for this how to comp, we'll be going in chronological order along with exactly how to efficiently manage your time and set up for this drop, since a lot is going to be going on at once. Before we get into the first come first serve online drops, make sure that you don't forget to sign up for the Flex app reservations. This is one of the best ways to get pairs, as well as asking your local foot stores about their procedure for the leftover pairs. Finish Line and JD should also be doing status access for these, potentially Wednesday this week for in-store at 9 a.m. Eastern Time and Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time for online, but they sometimes change the dates even though those times will be accurate, so just look out for updates inside of the Discord, which you could join for free. Now, moving on to online first come first serve sites, all drops now begin at 10 a.m. Eastern Time ever since Nike decided no stores were to release prior to Nike. Since there's a lot to focus on, I'm going to guide you and suggest to you how you should efficiently manage your time. First, I suggest going for Hibbett as your first come first serve choice at exactly 10 a.m. Eastern Time, since Hibbett will sell out quickly and shipping is free here, which is important for what we'll discuss later. You might get the press and hold capsule loop when you try, so just some tips to prevent this loop. Like we've discussed in prior how to comp guides, go to the coming soon page on the Hibbett calendar right before 10 a.m., click the Jordan 4 from there, then scroll down slowly until you see the sizes. If you scroll too quickly, you'll likely get caught in that capsule loop. My biggest advice in general though for here is to use Apple Pay on your mobile device for a very efficient checkout. Or as an alternative to Hibbett, you could also try one or two Shopify sites to focus on at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, like Shop Nice Kicks or Shoe Palace or DTLR, but I would not suggest those for this release, especially because shipping is not going to be free on those. So in conclusion, your 10 a.m. first come first serve focus really should be on Hibbett, especially for this drop, but those are your other alternatives if you do desire. Now, right after that first come first serve drop is over, you're going to want to try to enter in as many Nike sneakers accounts into the drop as possible. This is going to be your number one chance by far for copying these. This is where the most stock is. Now, what's the most efficient way to comp off of Nike sneakers manually? Well, these are currently loaded as a Leo release, also known as Let Everyone Order, which essentially gives you a 2-minute draw window that looks like a first come first serve. And my biggest advice for these entries is to use as many unique devices as possible. Not only is this going to save you time, but the unique devices do tend to increase your chances of actually being selected if they've been signed into that device for an extended period of time. I made a full video on this, you can feel free to check it out. After sneakers, you normally want to shift your focus to periodically checking Finish Line, JD Sports, and Snipes to see if you have passed the queue. Also, just a reminder again, Finish Line and JD should be doing the status access, but sometimes they do drop other pairs on the website still, so just look out for their queues. And of course, Snipes should also have a queue for these too, but keep in mind, Snipes probably won't have free shipping. It should be $10. Foot sites are not worth your time at all. They'll be impossible manually, and if you have access access to a Nordstrom monitor, like if you're in endurance, for example, keep an eye on the Nordstrom monitor around this time, around like 10:01 to 10:02, because when they do drop, they're normally slightly delayed, so it's usually 1 or 2 minutes after 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Now that's it for the how to cop portion of the guide. Now with how to cop out of the way, let's move on to resale predictions. First of all, stock on these is well above average for Jordan 4, which typically has 200 to 300,000 pairs in production. Whether it's 600 or 1.2 million pairs, both are still far above average. However, what was very strange, aside from the stock adjustment, was that only about 100,000 pairs dropped on the shock drop. Normally, proportionally, it's a little bit more than that. With that said, I am skeptical of the data on this stock endpoint. I've always been somewhat skeptical of it, as it's often been different from what my sources have told me, but this discrepancy this time is definitely really notable. With that said, I'd take the 1.2 million stock with a grain of salt. The only time we see those numbers tends to be on huge Jordan 11 releases with iconic colorways like the Concords or the Breads, and even those weren't 1.2 million, and those releases are really rare, happening only about once a year. The military blue 4 is iconic and in high demand, but not exactly to the scale of a Bread or Concord 11. So what in the world is Nike trying to do here? If this is even intentional, I'm not sure, but we'll for sure know after the release. As of now, I'd go into this drop assuming it is above average, but not something as insane as 1.2 million pairs. Perhaps 600 total is actually the case. With that said, given that demand on these is super high, we should see the current prices of 250 to 260 hold up because it's already quite low, and a lot of people tend to already be pricing in the fact that there's about to be a ton of stock going in circulation. So if that remains the case, if you have no tax in your state, or if you have local buyers, or even better, if both are the case for you, you should be able to make a couple dollars in brick profit on sizes 10.5 and above, bigger being the better. On the other hand, if the total stock really is 1.2 million, in that case, these are just going to be personals. But if there's one thing everyone should remember, it's that Nike has free returns. There's no risk there. So at best, these will be brick profit to lunch money depending on your situation, and at worst, they're going to be personals and you'll have to take advantage of the free returns. So for this release, I'd really try to stay away from the sites that charge for shipping and stick to the sites that not only have free shipping, but free returns too. So obviously, this odd choice of Nike to produce so much stock is bad news for resellers, but this is really great news for just collectors and anyone who wants to double up and have some personals on these, because it's definitely going to be a lot easier to get these compared to had it just been 200 to 300,000 pairs. The day before the drop, I'll make a seller hold video with a more in-depth analysis, so make sure you subscribe for that. And this might not be the first time they do this for Jordan 4s, which would not be good for future resale on Jordan 4s, so we're going to evaluate this situation after the drop, and I'll keep you updated. But anyway, that's going to conclude it for today. You can feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed, or maybe if you learned a thing or two. And remember, check out Endurance with the link in the description if you're looking to broaden your horizons as a reseller and go outside of just sneaker reselling. And also, if you just want free sneaker guides and alerts, definitely check out that same link too. That said though, I'll see you guys later. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and of course, good luck on this drop.